Thank you very much. So we're at 6:05, a little bit late. Podunk Road, 2.5 miles with various addresses. Notice of intent distribution line upgrades, DEP file number does not exist yet.
We were issued our DEP file number today.
I beg your pardon?
We were issued our DEP file number today.
Oh, you were? What is it?
It's CE 300-1200.
1200. Okay.
I'm going to go into Erin's email. I'll make sure I get it.
Okay. Yep. All right, go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Allison Nolan with BSC Group. I'm here on behalf of Massachusetts Electric Company to present the Podunk Road Distribution Line project. The work, the scope of work includes a proposed overhead maintenance of an existing distribution line, replacement of some of those existing structures, and the extension of portions of that line pretty much into an old DOT road layout that it's an old Podunk Road, I guess we could say that. It's no longer used for vehicular traffic. It's been closed since the highway bisected that road. Massachusetts Electric Company was required to do an interconnection. So this is what's called the distribution generation interconnection project to basically bring electricity from a new generation facility. The route was selected to avoid wetland impacts to the greatest extent practicable. Also, Massachusetts Electric did meet with DOT and they looked at multiple alternatives which are outlined here within the filing of different route selections and different ways that they could is required into interconnection, and this was the best and least the most practicable possible and least impactful to the wetlands. In all, actual biological wetlands, it's very minimal impact. We're looking at about 200 square feet of temporary impact associated with temporary construction matting. There's no permanent fill or permanent alteration beyond the fact that there is a proposed conversion of forested wetland along the the old paper road where it has become overgrown since it's no longer used. Massachusetts Electric is proposing a 40-foot cleared width within that old road layout, and then within the inner 20 feet, they're proposing grubbing and then loaming and seeding that area and maintaining it by mowing. It'll be maintained in an emergent kind of community, so low-growing grass and forbs, where the outer portion of that right-of-way will just be cut. They will not be grubbing. Stumps will remain in place, and that will be actively managed as like a shrub community along the distribution corridor. So the tree removals are necessary basically to install the poles, the distribution poles, and to maintain the required clearances to the new lines and the existing lines. So there are some tree removals proposed along the existing distribution line access that are also subject to review under the town's tree ordinance or tree bylaw. And so the list of those trees are listed in this filing for your consideration. At this point,
Are any of those trees within the buffer zone of the wetland?
Yes, yes, they are. There's actually tree removals in biological wetland, so in bordering vegetated wetland. So that's a
So
conversion.
the tree warden doesn't have any authority over those trees being taken down?
There are also trees along the main street that are Route 49 that are proposing to be removed.
Okay. Now, have we got a layout that we can look at?
What's the best page of this whole submission to go
There's a
to?
lot. Is there interest in probably looking at the resource area, correct?
Right.
Yeah, okay. So I recommend that we go to page 15 of 19, and then we can go to page 16 of 19.
My whole thing is 196 pages.
Oh, I meant of the maps.
I can get that for you in just a second, because I'm in this. 13 of 19, 15 of 19 is page 74.
All right. All All right. So is this the complete overview here?
This is just a section, it's actually a 19-page map set. Because it's a linear project, it's really difficult to show everything on one plan set, because it's narrow and long. But this shows the access, excuse me. This shows the proposed new clearing within the old road layout.
Where is the old road layout?
It's shown in the white on the map.
Right there? Okay, and is it,
Sure.
an extra one of those?
So the red line here shows the proposed limit of disturbance, and that's pretty much the limits of clearing that are proposed. The yellow is the, the white is the design limits for the inner area I was talking about, where they're proposing the low-growing vegetation, more grassy. And out here is the tree removals that will not be converted to like a grassy area, but will be allowed to be vegetated like a shrub area. And this is our delineated bordering vegetated wetland here, so you'll see that there is, you see how this proposed structure right here kind of, there's a bend, so that's why you see this need, that it's considered like an angle structure. So that's why there's a need to clear, to maintain that clearance. And then we have a list of trees and the DBHs within your filing that are located within, the ones that are located within BVW, and the ones that are located within the 200-foot locally protected zone as well. We also have photos that might, maybe if folks are interested in looking at photos of the old road layout.
And if I can just add, we have not done a site visit.
What?
We have not done a site visit on this area yet, so that's something that we'll need to schedule.
Yeah.
And then once I get the email with the DEP number, I can look at the comments, if there were any.
Okay. And do you mind going back one page, please? Okay. This shows the beginning of, is this working? Oh, yeah. This shows the beginning basically of the old road layout where it's no longer, like this is where it's bisected by the highway. So this basically begins the new kind of corridor, I guess I would call it. This is the 200 and some odd square feet of temporary impact associated with access construction matting. So that's a temporary BMP that's put down on wetland to protect the soil and vegetation. And it's removed after the access is completed, and that's required for them to come in and install this pole. So there's no permanent fill. That the first pole is right here outside of that wetland area. So it's temporary, and then tree conversion is what's being proposed.
I'm confused. Doesn't the old road access go up along 49 like that? No? This cuts behind?
Look at the USGS and see if I... Yeah, it does follow the road based on the USGS, but it also crosses the road.
Right. And you're saying this is the crossing point
Yes.
here? So therefore it goes up along here?
It continues northerly.
Right. That's not northerly, is it?
Sorry?
Am I showing you a northerly direction there?
That
Kind of
one,
northeast.
it's north.
That's more
West-ish.
easterly, yeah.
This is down here.
Yeah, that goes the south.
The north.
Yeah, north will be parallel to the road.
What?
North will be parallel to the road
Yeah,
in this,
yep.
in this section of the map. What is the proportion of the wetland that is going to be affected?
The square foot of, like, the square footage for conversion?
You mentioned the square footage, it was about like 200 square feet, you said? For the temporary.
Wetland matting, that'll be pulled out after
Yes.
they're done with the pole work.
Yes, and what is that area, what's the proportion of the total wetland? Do you have that information? Maybe
I don't know, if we, it's not, I don't know if we have that. The only, there are a couple reasons. You know, they only delineate basically what we have access to. So what's outside is usually, we do Mass GIS, we'll use that layer too. But you could see here, it's a pretty small, based on just what's in this map view. Of it. You see that, like kind of that hatched area with the call out, that's the 200 square feet for the
Oh,
temporary.
yeah, okay. I can see it now. Thank you.
You're welcome.
In the previous map, can you go back, because maybe I'm reading this wrong, but, so, the green area is the wetland delineation, right?
Yes,
So we're clearing into the wetland, is what the proposal is?
yes. It's, yes, clearing trees outside of the inner zone where they want to loam and maintain it. It's going to be cut flush and allowed to basically revegetate as like a shrub wetland.
Do you have a number on how many trees in the wetland, how many trees outside of the wetland?
I think it's in the filing. Let's see. Broke it down pretty,
There a required 2-to-1 replication?
What?
Wouldn't there be a 2-to-1 required replication for that area that's being impacted?
We requested, yes.
Right. Well, plus the fact that all that stuff is then gonna be inside of 25 feet, right?
Right.
so for the actual square footage of canopy change, it's about 1,300 square feet.
This is this area here?
Yes. And then
Can you get, for the next meeting, can you get a calculation for everything that's inside of our 50-foot no disturb
Sure.
and our 25-foot no touch as well? Just to the calculations for that.
And you mean for trees?
Well, just any impact whatsoever that's gonna be inside of 50 and inside of 25 and direct impact, I'd just like a calculation of those. Separately, because there wasn't a file number, I did not go over this with as closely as I probably should have. You had mentioned that there were alternatives that were looked at.
Yes.
As I understand, the solar array is in the town of Charlton, but you are asking the town of Sturbridge to approve impact to our wetlands for the benefit of a project that's in the town of Charlton. I would be curious as to what was the least impactful plan inside of the town of Charlton that was looked at, because I have concerns about any project that has impacts to our residents and to our town and to our wetlands that doesn't seem to me provides any offsetting benefit to our residents and our town and our wetlands. So I'd be interested in looking at an alternative that does not come into Sturbridge and stays encapsulated inside of Charlton.
All right, so right now I have, a thorough review of any interconnection opportunities that would have basically put the electricity that goes into the regional grid only impacting the town of Toronto.
Well, I'm having difficulty grasping authorizing disturbance of wetlands within the town of Sturbridge for a project that is cross-border in the town of Charlton. So,
What's disturbance territory that's proposed to receive this electricity? I guess is the question I'm trying to articulate that. It's going into the grid.
Actually, my name is Chris Nolan. I'm actually from Bar Corporation. I'm a consultant to the actual.
can you just make sure you're near the mic?
Yeah, I'm a consultant to the owner of the project, so I'm working with Engrid a little bit on this. And I know that there's been some concern about the benefits of the town that are flowing from this, and I know that the board probably has not been in the front row on this, but we have entered into an agreement with the town, recognizing the town's interest in this property. And as part of that agreement, when the approvals are all through, we are going to remove all the debris that's in the town right away on the scenic road along that section of the road. It contains a significant number of dump materials from the 60s and 70s, including asbestos roofing tiles, felt. There doesn't seem to be any mag out there. It all seems to be non-friable asbestos, but it actually intrudes into the wetlands in certain places or certainly into the buffer zones. So we've agreed to remedy that situation along the entire length of the town's right away from the beginning of that section of Podunk Road. Secondly, we're paying the town of Sturbridge some $20,000.
Okay, if I could get a narrative also included with the other stuff that you're putting together along that, because I'm imagining that that's been agreed to in other public hearings that I have not been, so I'd prefer to know what has been agreed to
I can share
by
that agreement
whom.
with you right now if you'd like it.
Yeah, I'd love a copy.
All
That'd be-
right. We'll point out it's been signed by Robin Grimm,
Okay,
town
thank you.
administrator, so on some.
Can you email me, well, actually, I can scan a copy of it.
That'd be
and
great.
Email it to everyone
I
tomorrow.
have several copies. I give you one. I brought a couple I anticipated.
They will also
this.
need to get a scenic road permit from planning board.
Correct. Can I approach the members? Distribute?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I didn't add a 40-page attachment to that document.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, welcome.
The $20,000, is that in perpetuity?
No, that is as long as the project is operating.
What does operating mean?
20 or 25 years until it's decommissioned.
Till
And
the
removed.
solar field is decommissioned?
Until solar field is decommissioned.
What if
These projects generally have a 20 to 25-year life. That's what we're talking about today. I don't know what the future holds. I would anticipate that if this is a project that transmits electricity and does a good job, they would upgrade the system as it goes and seek permission to extend their permits. But the project, from their perspective, from their financial perspective, this is a 20 to 25-year project. It's been financed that way. It's been constructed that way. It's in the O&M plan that way. So that's sort of the corporate, zeitgeist of this thing.
Yeah. So that's fixed. If the solar field gets larger and more productive, we still get $20,000 a year?
Well,
I'm
the
just
solar
asking-
field can't get larger and more productive because we have a permit from the planning board in Charlton that says we're allowed to build a facility that transmits this and much electricity. So we have an upper limit on that based upon that. That upper limit is reinforced by the agreement with Engrid, because our agreement with Engrid, they have a lot of demands on their system, and putting 4 or 5 kilowatts into the system is the reason why they have to upgrade the system. So they have to do an area study, and they have to do all this stuff, and they calculate what they need to do to handle the amount of electricity that we're talking about putting into the grid. So once we do that, they figure out what they need to construct to manage that amount of electricity coming into the grid. And given the amount that's here, they have to get a 3-phase system, and they can't, I don't know what they do with it when they get it, but somewhere down at the end of Podunk Road, they have a larger facility where they do something else in the town of Sturbridge.
So is the 20K paid to the town of Sturbridge?
Correct.
Is there any escalation?
Yeah, 5% every 5 years.
That's the answer I was looking for.
And I will point out, it's just something was said before, I think at least one or two members of the commission have been to the site and have walked the street. I believe, Mr. Goodwin, didn't you come out to the site?
I did,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so so there's been some observation of the site that's occurred. And you've seen the debris next to the road,
Right. You showed it to me.
the trash and the asbestos roofing and that on your scenic road.
Anybody in the audience like to speak on this subject?
Thank you for allowing me to speak, folks.
Please state your name and address for the record.
I am Claudia Norton.
Pull that towards you, Claudia.
I reside at 11 Putnam Road in Sturbridge. In the back of my property borders the strip of land that will be impacted. And I recognize it's a small piece of land, but it has considerable impact upon my new residents, that I've moved to my downsized house in Sturbridge, where I plan to retire and spend the rest of my years. So if it's a 20 to 25-year benefit, I plan to be there longer than that. So that tree area has considerable benefit for us. The trees, they provide screen from the traffic, the dust, the noise along Route 49. It's a very pretty country lane back there. And there was cutting throughout the winter. I could hear the chainsaws operating, so there has been clearing currently, and that over the winter, I could see much more light coming through. Currently, when the leaves are up, I won't see much of the highway. So removing even small parts of it is going to have considerable impact upon our residences as well. There is indeed much farm debris left behind. However, opening that area will also allow other people to come in and dump debris. As I experienced at my neighbor's large field next door, I had cleaned up bags of trash, folding chairs, building materials, cars, I hear them come in and drop stuff off. So cleaning up what's there now is only one factor. It will be ongoing cleaning that will be required. We'll also get probably some mischief from teenagers interested in that country lane as well. Right now, one of our neighbors walks that strip daily. He owns the property on the other side of the street. So he patrols, and we feel very safe and secure. We will lose that bit of security. I now notice that my one neighbor who's retired leaves their backyard light on overnight as well. So it's going to increase concern for the members who reside there. I was interested in the count of trees that would be coming down, and being that it's a scenic route, what does that mean? How do we maintain that as a scenic route? What is the tree restoration project in mind? When I asked National Grid representatives at the Board of Selectmen meeting, they responded that National Grid has no intention. They don't want the trees there. It's only going to interfere with the wires. Yet I replanted seedlings in the front of my house, and when I contacted Fast Growing Trees and inquired about limited growing height trees, they offer 34 varieties. So obviously you wouldn't plant restored trees directly under the power lines, but there's definitely opportunities there to be able to restore trees in that area. So we're concerned about security, health concerns, and about the cleanup, Doesn't seem like that is going to be a permanent solution for the area, and the loss of the tree barrier. And we had asked as well if a gate could be installed for security purposes, and I don't believe that's your concern for this project.
Do you know, ma'am, if they committed to installing a gate?
I have not heard that definitively, but I have access to wildlife management areas, and I'm issued a combination code to unlock the gate to be able to get in. So it's restricted access, not everybody can get in, but if somebody needs to get in quickly, I don't know, even along like the Mass Pike, there are areas to exit. There must be ways that law enforcement and emergency vehicles can get on and off through those gated areas, and I don't know the method that's used for that.
Yeah, so the utility companies typically have their own, they'll install gates, and they have their own buddy system sometimes, so that
That
they
would
have
be
their own
helpful.
gate. They have their own lock on those gates with
Yes.
with the landowner, though, typically, yeah.
So we definitely like to see, green opportunities as well for providing energy for the area. However, it's going to be very disruptive for the houses that border that strip of land to clear and go through there. It would make more sense, and I realize that they've tried in the past, to go directly across Route 49 from the end of Podunk Road. And maybe not this time, that's not a possibility, but long-term, that would seem better than going all along that old Podunk Road lane. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ajay Meena. We are neighbors with Claudia. We reside at 13 Putnam Road. Our main concern, similar to Claudia, has been the tree removal. Right now, with the leaves being there, we don't see the Podunk Pike, but come fall, winter, we can hear the pike, Podunk Pike or Route 49 pretty clearly, and that's the biggest concern. And we have not, again, previously there was some on-site where they walked us through, but in all these meetings, we have not heard anything about tree replacement. Nothing has been promised. We haven't been told how many trees will be removed. And again, we moved into this house, or we built this house a couple of years ago. We moved in, we have young kids. We're going to be here for a long time. We have no plan of moving, but this definitely impacts us because all the pollution and everything. And trees are critical. We are already seeing the effects of global warming. And that's the biggest concern for us, like the number of trees and replanting those trees. Yes, great, they're gonna, upgrade some of the infrastructure, but at the end of the day, if we are not gonna replace the trees, how is it benefiting us? Thank you.
Anyone else like to address the subject? Seeing none, would you like a continuation?
Yes, please.
May I ask a question before the continuation?
Sure.
You mentioned that the length of the project is 25 years. After the project is done, are there plans for restoration of the areas that have been affected?
Well, this is an extension of an existing distribution line that connects to the grid.
Okay.
So I can't speak for what's happening at the generation point of this, but typically, if it's not going to be utilized in the future, I imagine it would be, because it is an existing distribution line. So it would probably just feed other sources of energy into the grid.
Okay, so the line keeps active after the 25 years is the
It's
solar
active
project
now.
itself, the one that
Yeah.
finishes in 2025
It's active now.
years.
So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry.
Right? Yes.
Just wanted to ask if
Name, rank, and serial number.
name, rank, and serial number. Okay, it's Mary Ann Bean, and I'm at 148 Podunk Road in Sturbridge. So is this meeting just about that white strip that they're going to be taking all of these trees from? Or is this also part of the trees that we're going to be taking down on Podunk Road itself.
So, yeah, this notice of intent also serves as a request under the town's tree bylaw. Correct.
So all the ones on Podunk Road itself, though, this meeting is about that too, right?
Yes, that's my understanding, yep.
Okay, so my question is, you're taking down many trees on Podunk Road, okay? And I concur with, and I can't remember your name. Claudia. What are you going to do about replacing them, even if they're lower? Now, granted, the trees that you're taking down are, for lack of a better word, because I don't know exactly the name of the tree, pines, okay, that are in deplorable shape. But they're in that zone, you know, from the street to, you know, the public, whatever, yeah. And in some cases, they are in a conservation area, you know, that kind of thing. So I haven't, when I was at the last meeting, at the selectmen's meeting, there wasn't any talk about replacing those. Is there going to be, you know, part of those 34 selections that you offer? Is there going to be any kind of replacement for that? And I understand you're putting up poles that are going to be higher. You've moved the poles a little bit to accommodate some of the trees that we did want to save, like the neighbors across the street who have this beautiful oak tree, you know, and stuff like that. So you moved around poles for that. But what about some of these other ones on Podunk Road itself?
Yeah. Well, I can't make those kind of commitments on behalf of the applicant, but I can definitely bring your comments back to Massachusetts Electric. I'm a consultant, wetland scientist, so I can't really commit to what they will do as far as planting trees in people's lawns, but I can, you know,
It's not exactly in people's lawns, because, you know, some people are 180, 200 feet back, you know, so it's not, you know, exactly in people's lawns, so to speak, and for me it would be, but, you know, others. So we'd like to find out more information about what's going to be replanted.
Okay.
And I wanted to ask also, on Podunk Road, they are going to be under the big towers of wires that we have, you know, the big, I forget what they're called, the transfer lines.
Transmission lines.
Transmission lines, thank you, under the transmission lines. Along there, they're going to be digging up and going underneath those to put in wiring, because the poles that they want to install are too high. So they're going to be digging up and they're going to be putting in underground wires that they're going to be maintaining. Between the street and between the street and some green area, there's a wall, a stone wall. I don't know what the rules are for stone walls, but this one was specifically built, I don't know when it was built or anything like that. It's a beautiful, beautiful wall in that area. And I want to find out more information about, are they going to be destroying that wall in order to put in those lines? And if they're destroying that wall, can they restore the wall? I mean, this is a wall that's quite old. Mm-hmm. And it's not, I mean, you know, it's 2-3 feet wide, you know, 2-3 feet high. You know what I mean? One of those stone things. And I don't know what the rules or regulations are about those things, but.
I don't know either.
Okay.
Isn't there something with scenic road?
Or the scenic road permit. Not a jurisdictional area. Yeah.
I think that's going to be under the planning board purview.
I'm sorry?
I think that would be under the planning board purview.
Okay, all right.
For scenic roads.
Yeah, we're going to have to file a scenic road petition on, because Podunk Road's a scenic road. So this was required to be done first under your bylaws. You do the Concom stuff first, then we plan on going in front of the planning board for a scenic road permit that's going to discuss these issues, which will include replacement issues in the areas that don't, where you don't have jurisdiction. Okay, thank you.
Okay. And the other thing, I applaud your asking about the $20,000 a year payment that the town is going to be getting for the project while it's ongoing. Did I hear correctly them saying that it's $20,000 a year with an escalation of 5% every 5 years?
Every 5 years.
Okay, so that's what, $1,000?
Yes.
Okay, so has anybody done a study about if we have to replace certain parts of the road or whatever that incorporates? Has anybody done a study about how much of an increase it actually costs for road repair and road, if we have to, you know, put down new asphalt, et cetera, et cetera?
I don't know that that would fall under us.
No, but
somebody could do that calculation. I don't know that that's something that would fall under us.
If you want me to give the information, I can. I have the information. The DPW has been involved in this from the very beginning. So the DPW and the town calculated what they thought there was a price, and that was a negotiated price. So it wasn't done in a vacuum. It was done with DPW's involvement.
Oh, because I was under the impression, from what you said that this was a typical thing that they did all the time. Like this was like a typical offer. Am I wrong?
I didn't say that.
Oh, I thought I heard that.
Yes, I don't believe I said that. This was a negotiated agreement.
Okay, I didn't hear the part where it said negotiated, maybe because I'm sitting back there and I didn't hear. Okay?
I mean, I'm not trying to deceive anybody.
No, I'm not
a
saying-
negotiated agreement that was negotiated with the town.
I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying that 5% after, every 5 years seems like a very small amount considering the cost of inflation, the costs that large corporations turn around and charge, how much it costs for roads. We just had Podunk Road recently repaved, and we waited 20 years to get that. So we're kind of like, it's kind of new, and we want to keep it that way as much as possible. Okay?
Absolutely, I understand.
Okay. And that's all my questions. I'm sorry.
I think we probably
Thank you.
need to move on.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, we're hearing from the
Like
public.
Yeah, I know.
Seeing none, motion
I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing, or I'd like to make a motion to continue the public hearing, until July 11th. Is that what you're requesting? Our next meeting? Or August 22nd?
July 11th would work, but I think the site visit would probably be productive if we could fit that in before July 11th, and if we can't,
Scheduling our site visits later in this meeting. Right now, I'm recommending before the holiday,
okay.
so I can follow up with you and let you know.
Yeah, because I would like it to be productive, for everyone's time.
Okay, wonderful.
I would like to see being included in that invitation. Thank you so much.
You made the motion?
Heard?
Thank you.
Second?
Second it.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Who's in favor?
If you're in favor?
Saint Germain in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
folks.
All right, we're now on 10 Shattuck Road. Notice. All right, 10 Shattuck Road, notice of intent, trail improvements, DEP file number. You don't have a file number yet, Randy? Okay. Applicant is the Trails. Brandon, why don't you get it?
Yep.
Tommy?
No, you're good. we actually want to take his away? No. Brandon Goodwin, Chair of the Trails Committee.
Tom Chamberlain, member of the committee.
All right. What do you got?
So the NOI that we've submitted is for the Lead Mine property, which is 10 Shattuck Road. It is two trail locations, a culvert, putting a culvert in and rebuilding a trail intersection, and then 4 bridges is what you have in front of you, what we submitted to the DEP. And I think most of these, I think Eric and yourself, Mr. Goodwin, had visited and saw where we were going to do the 7 Ridges Trail work.
Right.
And then last week we went out with Aaron to visit all the sites and go over the different locations.
So these are repairs?
Two are trail relocations, where one is, that is based on erosion. We want to relocate the trail further away from a stream. The second, the culvert area that we're talking about is also erosion, where 7 Ridges intersects with Raven Rookery, and there's water flowing right down the hill, and it's 20, 30 feet from a stream, and so that we need to fix those 2 areas, and those are areas of the first 2 projects, regardless of what we do. And then from there, we get into the flatter parts of the trail where there's stream crossings and wet areas that we need to get out of the wetlands for. So there's two that are really critical for erosion issues. And those are the first 2 hills that you drove up when we went in the woods to look at those sites.
So, question of detail. What do you recommend on this?
I have a couple, well, we don't have a DEP number, but I have some questions. This Bridge 4, where does it come from, where does it go?
It comes from the well site,
Okay,
and it's not an existing trail yet. Well, it's not an officially existing trail, so we have to get approval from Concom and from the state to put that on the trail map.
okay.
But that is an access road from that side of the property. And so one reason we would do it is to access the property and be able to work in there. The other would be for emergency access,
Okay,
because it's an easy site for the police to drive in across the well field and get into the middle of the property.
would it make sense to include that proposed trail on this notice?
We have a separate, we have a separate proposal that has to go to the state for the trail, because the trails exist. We have to just get them approved by Fish and Game and the Concom.
Okay.
So that's why it's separate.
And then I know Aaron went on the site with you and said these trails that you're looking to move over are kind of in rough shape right now, and you're just planning to put some logs and whatnot
Yeah,
in
anywhere-
there? And so
Yeah.
how are you gonna, that'll stop people from continuing to use them while
Yeah, so-
regrowing?
In some of the wet areas, there are a lot of little meandering trails that people have put in to get around the wet areas, and so we would block those off. But also, the trails that are being relocated that are due to erosion, we would try to get them back to a natural surface. So the material we would pull off of, the trails we build to get away from, we'd pull that material and put logs and other rocks and stuff like that to try and make sure that they sort of go back to a natural state.
We would be restoring any of those old trail routes with natural vegetation, logs, stone, wood chips.
So would you be open to planting?
Oh, yeah.
Well, the site in and of itself is extremely, the reason why it's washed out is it's all rock and ledge.
Okay.
And so it's
Well,
very
something
thin
like
soil.
Mountain
So,
laurel or something like that would,
pardon?
something like mountain laurel that would,
We are flexible, so in terms of, once the trails, the new trail sections are built, and we've got the material that we want to put back on the old trails and so on, we're happy to plant any vegetation that the Concom, since you guys are care and custody of that property, we're open to that. We don't have a preference in terms of, it's not easy planting, to Tom's point. It's rough terrain and so on, but yeah, we're not,
And it looks like TR2,
And the water is going to continue to flow in those areas, because we're not diverting that's the natural flow of the water through that site. So with the exception of the culvert at the relocated site 2 a little bit, that first site, that's the natural flow of the water. So I'm not sure that anything we try to plant is going to stay. We can put wood chips, we can put logs, we can put rocks to try to slow that water flow down and try to disperse it. But again, that's why we can't keep a trail there, is there's an extremely large volume of water that flows down through that section.
has it
Again, we
been
could try to
verified?
plant, I'm just,
The flat areas, we could try
Yeah.
some stuff on and so on, so we're,
Has it been verified if those areas are now considered wetlands? The existing trail that's kind of,
oh, no, the water flows off the trail really well.
Okay.
It's not that's probably one of the drier sections of trail, which is, to Tom's point, why it's so difficult to maintain as a trail. We've put water bars across. We're pretty creative in terms of how to stop the flow.
Okay.
And none of it's worked. That's why we're relocating. We're
we've
not,
considered
history-
doing more of like a boardwalk instead, and,
not on
no,
hills.
Lauren, you haven't obviously had the opportunity to see the site.
Not-
The slope in this particular area probably exceeds 25%.
okay.
Okay? We came before the commission Ed, help me out here, 15 years ago, when Glenn Coburn was the agent at the time, and we put forth a proposal to relocate this section of trail.
Yeah.
Because our experience and my professional experience in trail construction, I said, we'll do our best, but we were following the existing logging haul road, which was just not a sustainable route, and the route in and of itself does not fall within compliance of our Trails Master Plan Sustainable Trail Guidance. So we had proposed back then an alternative route, but the commission at that time chose to go with the recommendation of its agent and said, no, keep the trail there and try to work with it. Well, we've been trying to work with it, and it has...
Want to work with you.
We can't...
It's a difficult,
Got it.
it's a difficult piece. That's,
I would like to see the area for myself before the next hearing. My only other question/comment, and I'm assuming it's going to be a comment from DEP as well, is showing erosion controls on the plan.
okay, yeah, beyond the straw.
That's pretty standard for their comments when it's not on here, so I think if before the next meeting, getting something together, showing that,
Not a problem.
I think that would be,
May I ask?
Is it fair to say that you guys got a lot of experience doing this type of work and relocating trails?
I've been, my career in trail construction and trail work started with the Army Corps of Engineers back in 1995.
Got it. Thank you.
And we spend a lot of time picking routes through the woods that avoid wetlands, that are easy to maintain, sustainable, and so on. So it's, you know, it's an important part of what we do, because we don't want to have to maintain them. We'd like them to be self-maintained.
When the town started in earnest with a trail committee back after the acquisition of the lead mine property, and then shortly thereafter the Heinz Farm, one of the things I personally advocated for and was done was to hire professional trail builders to come in and create that recreational trails master plan. In that master plan, it sets out 5 different trail design standards. And so as we go forward, we try to apply the various, types of trails on all of our all of our properties, so we have a mix of trails following those design standards. There are engineering design standards for how you approach slopes and angles and cross slopes, water diversions, including dips and ticks, and that's what's encapsulated in our recreational trail master plan.
Great, thanks.
All right.
For me, would it be possible to add some signs so people using the trails do not continue through the old trail? and avoid foot traffic through the area until it gets restored.
We've tried, there's a certain amount of sign that they listen to, and there's a certain amount of sign that they ignore. We have signs that say you're leaving a marked trail, or you're leaving, leaving town property, and so on. It still doesn't stop them. And even in this area, in some areas, we've had people, part of the reason, the state wants these, these wetlands, crossings in place and so on and so forth. But the other part of that is we do have hikers that like to go off and on their own, and about once a year, we're having an incident where someone's getting lost or far enough in the woods where they're not comfortable getting back. And so, we get to a point where, from our perspective, it's actually easier to put the bridges in because we have a large community of volunteers. So a bridge can go up pretty quickly for us. It's a matter of, it almost makes it easier, but.
Even like a sign that says trade continues the other way.
So when we restore an area to block the trail, we remove all of the existing signage, that we marked, that the trail's marked and whatever. What's interesting to note with your question is, as you know, Mass Fish and Wildlife holds a CR on this property, and as an agency, Mass Fish and Wildlife does not support trails. They want people to walk on their property without using trails. So you're kind of presenting a little bit of a, we want people to stay on the trails. We know that's the best thing for the property, but Mass Fish and Wildlife has a different approach to that. And they hold a CR on the property, so.
And fewer signs is one of their requests.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's that weird balance we're stuck in the middle, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. It's just like an area that is being eroded if you get more foot traffic.
Well, again, our master plan, when we lay out a trail, we design it so that we don't have those erosion challenges and issues, or we minimize them to the greatest extent possible, okay? And as I mentioned earlier, we knew this particular first relocation was going to be a challenge in trying to maintain it. And over time has come to proven that to be the case. And so now, using the proper design standards, we want to relocate the trail further away from the stream.
It's better.
Okay?
Yeah.
And it will have better slopes and better design so that the water can properly flow off the trail and not down the trail.
Perfect. Thank you.
Anybody else in the audience? Seeing none, continuation?
Please.
11th?
And
July 11.
July 11th, is that what you want?
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to continue the public hearing on 10 Shattuck Road until July 11th.
Second thought?
discussion, I'd like to get Lauren out.
Yeah, we can do that.
Coordinate.
July 4th?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Yeah.
Well, there's some favor.
Ed Goodwin in
It was
favor.
on the 18th.
You should hook up with them too. Go,
I can go, yeah.
yeah.
Depending on the day, we can like coordinate.
All right, we're on to the next.
Thank you.
Now we're on River Road, notice of intent.
Here for the next.
Yeah, you're good. I'll sit back. I don't have to speak on this one. Unless they're, is time on here?
Yeah, Matt's here.
Continuation of the
No,
Grand Trunk Trail and parking, DEP file number 31199.
And as part of the last hearing, we requested a revised plan showing a snow storage pile, which we did receive.
Yeah.
Right, hello, I'm Matt Zork with Ty and Bond. Yeah, so since our last hearing, we received DEP file number, they had some comments. And there was the one comment of snow storage, so we did update that plan. We also provided response to comments letter here that I'm sure all of you got. I have some copies here if you want a hard copy. So there was 5 comments that DEP had. I don't know if you guys want to go through them at all, or if you had any questions on
Are they
those.
quick?
They're quick, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, turn them quickly.
Sure, so the first one was to ask about the total amount of riverfront alteration since 1996, and there has been none. 7 was really in terms of, disturbance, and they're asking, our stormwater measures be taken along the trail to the maximum extent practicable. And, our response is we're doing a 10-foot wide gravel trail on an existing rail bed area. And there's really limitations of what we can do. There's steep slopes on either side at certain sections, so there's not really room to do anything in those areas. And then the other areas, it's the national grid right away, and we can't really go onto those areas as much as we can. Well, I'd like to. So, you know, it's a very limited corridor that we have, and the gravel path is really kind of staying the same from the existing condition that's there now. So that was the gist of number 2. Number 3 was a question on, we checked off LID measures, so we took that off on the checklist. 4 was a question relating to TSS removal. I think there was some confusion on the spreadsheets that we had, but basically we have 2 spreadsheets. One was for a sediment forebay, where we have 2 pre-treatment forebays, which get you to the 44% TSS removal. And then we have a separate one for the infiltration basin that gets you to 80%. So we clarified that in the response. And number 5 was just basically recommending that we wait till we get the National Heritage information, which we did receive.
I have no further comments. I made some suggested conditions on the detailed, but they're all pretty straightforward. There is barriers serving as the limit of work, that the limit of work is marked, no construction materials or debris in the resource area, no use of rock salt or de-icing chemicals on the pavement. During the wintertime, the snow storage is put in the area as shown on the plan, and that a copy of the OMP gets provided to the DPW, so they have that on record as well.
Okay. And
The only
What
thing
is
I was
the
gonna
area?
ask is if you're okay with the conditions as they were laid out.
Yes,
By the,
yeah.
okay, then nothing further.
anybody in the audience like to speak to this? Seeing none?
Like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second,
Any discussion? Seeing none?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Roy Bishop in favor?
Ed Cooter in favor?
St. Germain in favor.
With regards to DEP file number 300-1199, the continuation of the Grand Trunk Trail and parking at River Road, I'd like to make a motion to approve the project with the order of conditions as laid out in the detailed agenda.
A second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Roy Bishop in favor?
Ed Cooter in favor?
St. Germain in favor.
With regards to the project, the continuation of the Grand Trunk Trail and parking at River Road, I'd like to make a motion to approve the project under the Sturbridge Wetland Bylaw with the same conditions already agreed to under the Wetland Protection Act.
I second that.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Roy Bishop in favor?
Ed Cooter in favor?
St. Germain in favor.
Great. All right. Now we are on,
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
thanks.
In case the commission hasn't heard, the town was successful in the Mass Trail Grant Round. We did receive $400,000
Beautiful.
starting the 1st of July, so we can now construct the trail.
Nice. Thank you, Tommy.
Congratulations. That's great.
Great.
Appreciate your stewardship. Brandon,
Thanks
thank
for
you.
your work.
Thank
Oh,
you.
you're not leaving? I was just saying.
We are now at 6:30, 1 Old Village Road. Notice of intent, vegetation management at Mill Pond and Quinnebog.
We still have not received a DEP number for this project, and the applicant is requesting a continuation to July 11th.
Motion to continue.
All right, with regards to 1 Old Sturbridge Village Road, I'd like to make a motion to continue the public hearing until July 11th.
Second that.
Discussion? All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Roy Bishop in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor.
St. Germain in favor.
All right. We're still, so we're at Mount Dan Road, 29, 30, 31 Mount Dan Road, notice of intent. Fence driveway, DEP file number 300, 1192.
The applicant has requested a continuance to July 11th pending new materials to submit.
All right.
With regards to DEP file number 300-1192, I'd like to make a motion to continue the public hearing until July 11th.
I second that.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Roy Bishop in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor.
St. Germain in favor.
Great. All right, now we are on to 36 Champeau Road.
For the record, I cannot vote in this public hearing, but I can participate in the discussion.
Yep. Continued notice of intent, single-family home, wetland crossing and replication, DEP file number 11, and 300-1194. Anybody here for that?
Would say that you can't get on online. Yeah, that was Scott Jordan. He can't get, he was.
Oh, he can't get in?
He can't get on online, so.
We're having technical issues on GoTo.
Oh,
So we'll have to continue it. That's too bad.
It would happen on the week that Aaron's gone.
What?
I said it would happen on the week that Aaron's gone. So I can't, I don't know.
Well, we're over here too, we bounced over here. Wonder if that had anything to do with it. I'd make a motion to continue 36 Champeau Road till the next meeting.
July 11th?
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Bishop in favor?
Yep.
I can't vote.
Oh, yeah,
Hey,
Saint
Judy,
Germain in favor.
Yep. All right, we are now into wetland decisions. 150 Charlton Road, request a certificate of compliance, DEP file number 300-0665. Over Realty.
So this is going to be a two-part section, because later on it addresses an enforcement order. So an enforcement order was issued for this project. The work was done, and a site inspection was done. So we are requesting a vote to lift the enforcement order, as well as a separate vote to issue the certificate of compliance with no perpetual conditions.
Right. With regards to the project at 150 Charlton Road, I'd like to make a motion to lift the enforcement order. Do we have a date on that that we need to reference?
I do not have a date on that. Oh, wait. No, I do not have a date on that. No date on the enforcement order.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd have to pull it up.
A second.
Second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Roy Bishop in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor.
Saint Germain in favor.
With regards to DEP file number 300-665, I'd like to make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance with no perpetual conditions.
I second that.
Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Roy Bishop in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor.
Saint Germain in favor.
All right. We are now on 9 Cedar Road. Certificate of, requesting a certificate of compliance.
Request for certificate of compliance for a garage that was done on the back of the building. Aaron and I did a site inspection. We did not see any concerns. The conditions were all met, and photos were provided of the Cultec unit that was installed. So we are recommending that a certificate of compliance be issued with perpetual conditions 43 through 47 from the original order.
I like it when they're easy. With regards to DEP file number 300-1168, 9 Cedar Pond Road, I'd like to make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance with the perpetual conditions of 43 through 47.
I second that.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Roy Bishop in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
Saint Germain in favor.
217 Brookfield Road, request a certificate of compliance, DEP file number 300, and that is 0955.
This is a request for a single-family home that was approved back in 2016. A certificate of compliance was never issued. The home has since been purchased by a new family who's looking to do a project And before submitting a notice of intent, we recommended that they go back and close out the order of conditions from the previous owner. The only deviation is that the berm that was required as part of the structure is within the 50-foot. It is a deviation from the plan. It should have been approved under the process. At this point, I don't see how moving that is going to improve the site, and at this point, it's going to do more damage to the site than anything. So I recommend issuing the certificate of compliance with perpetual conditions 25 and 26 from under the Sturbridge wetland bylaw, and we will hopefully see a project going forward.
So those aren't Sturbridge number 25 and Wetland Protection Act 25, those are 25 and 26?
25 and 26.
Okay,
Not
perfect.
25.
With regards to DEP file number 300-955, 217 Brookfield Road, I'd like to make a motion to issue a complete certificate of compliance with the perpetual conditions of 25 and 26.
I second that.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Roy Bishop in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
San Germani in favor.
All right. We are now at 7 Draper Woods,
28 Camp Road.
28 Camp Road, I'm sorry. Request for, to extend an order of conditions, DEP file number 300-1101.
This is for new construction for a single-family home. The homeowner is building the house themselves. It is coming along great. The site is stable. It still needs the seed and loam. Once the house is complete, it's going to need gutters, and then the gutters discharge into a riprap stone area. But the silt fence is being maintained, no signs of erosion. The home is beautiful. They anticipate that a 1-year extension will be sufficient to complete the project.
All right. With regards to DEP file number 300-1101, I'd like to make a motion to issue a 1-year extension to the order of conditions.
I second that.
Discussion? Seeing none?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Roy Bishop in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
San Germani in favor.
Now 7 Draper Woods. Request for partial certificate of compliance, DEP file number 300-469.
7 Draper Woods is part of the subdivision. The certificate of compliance was never requested for the entire project, so this is one of those situations that as houses go to sell or other projects come up, so does the order of conditions. So the homeowners at the Lodge office is asking for a certificate of compliance for this particular address, which is actually out of jurisdiction. So we'd be releasing an order, or issuing a certificate of compliance for this one address, which is not within any jurisdiction.
With regards to DEP file number 300-469, 7 Draper Woods Road, I'd like to make a motion to issue a partial certificate of compliance with no perpetual conditions.
I second that.
Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Roy Bishop in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
San Germani in favor.
Okay, now we are at 146A Cedar Street.
Holy cow, 300-69? Ed, does this predate you?
No. 25 Westwood Drive and 41 Westwood Drive. Request a partial certificate of compliance on DEP file number 300-69.
So these are all 3 separate addresses that are part of the entire subdivision. Again, a certificate of compliance was never issued. No work was done on these 3 sites. So we are recommending a certificate of compliance be issued for these 3 sites with no perpetual conditions. Any further work will require a notice of intent if a delineation is provided and it shows that it's within jurisdiction.
All right.
With regards to DEP file number 300-69, I'd like to make a motion to issue a partial certificate of compliance for the properties at 146A Cedar Street, 25 Westwood Drive, and 41 Westwood Drive.
I second that.
Discussion, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Roy Bishop in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
St. Germain in favor.
All right. We are now at 3 Glenridge Road. Request for a certificate of compliance, DEP file number 300-1176.
This project was for a septic replacement. Throughout the process of construction, obviously, I was not here, but Erin said she went on site at least 10 times throughout the duration of construction. The project is now complete. The silt fence is still in place, so upon the granting of certificate of compliance, they will receive the notification that they can remove the silt fence, seed and loam if they need to, but no concerns on the site. Did a site inspection, recommending certificate of compliance be issued with perpetual conditions 43 through 47.
With regards to the project, DEP file number 300-1176 at 3 Glenridge Road, I'd like to make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance with the perpetual conditions of 43 through 47.
I second that.
Any discussion? Seeing none?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Roy Bishop in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
St. Germain in favor.
21 Long Avenue, tree removal request.
Good evening. Yes, I would like to,
Sorry, name and address
oh,
for
I'm
the
sorry.
record.
My name's Stanley Iwanicki. I reside at 313 Dale Street in Chicopee, but I own the 21 Long Avenue property. My request is to remove a pine tree. First of all, I'd like to clarify on the agenda meeting, I did back in 2018 request to reconstruct an 8x8 deck on the right rear corner of the building, but no trees were ever taken down. I think on here it said that there were some trees that were removed to do that. Basically, it was a deck that was removed by the previous owner. I was just reconstructing it. Just to clarify that there were no trees actually taken down to do that at the time. I did get a tree condition report from an arborist. Mr. Carl Hunter from Save a Tree in Belchertown. It's kind of hard to find an arborist, let me to tell you, that would do that. I went through 3 or 4 tree removal people that they said they would do that, but they didn't. And on his tree report, it says the white pine is along the right-of-way of a driveway, where the pine tree is healthy, which I knew it was at the time I got the tree condition report. It is in a very precarious spot. It is very tightly located between the property's well and the power lines, which it is about 10 feet from the well. And that's basically my main concern as far as the roots and everything from that pine tree. His report is there is a strong chance that the tree continues to grow, the roots will grow and puncture the well, and the branches will grow over into the power lines. This will make removal at the time much more dangerous and difficult. I also, in this report, there are plans to replace and replant mountain laurels when or if the tree is ever removed, so that there is some type of vegetation that would be planted at the time of removal, or I'm trying to find the words to do that. If it is removed, we will replant with, he suggested mountain laurels as they are low-growing and native to Massachusetts. Again, my main concern is with the well. This is on the front part of the property. It is on Cedar Lake. It is close to Long Avenue, but it is within the buffer zone. That's why I'm here. Obviously, when I was doing the deck, obviously that was in the buffer zone too. Again, that's my request. Any questions I don't have is basically self-explanatory in what it is, what I would like to do. And I know, I guess, Erin did come out to take a look at it, because she said she would. I didn't know if...
Erin and I went on site,
Okay.
we took a look at it. I was not aware of the well location on the property when we went out. I did look at the tree in relation to the power lines.
Right.
And then Eric went out as well
Yeah.
for another
If
opinion.
you're looking at the house, the tree obviously is on the right. The well is, well, basically 10 feet from that tree. There was a little cement border, or, because it's on the mound, okay? Yeah, I'm a little nervous right now, sorry for that. 21 Long Avenue, but then there's a mound where the tree is, and right at the end of the mound, that's where the well is, and there's a little, like a brick barrier that the person before me made, I guess, to hold back the soil, I'm guessing, from that little mound in the front. Basically, it's a driveway, and then there's a mound going this way here. The mound probably is, I'm sorry.
I tried to get it in the picture that I took, but the one I emailed to you, there is the wellhead.
Yeah.
At the very bottom. You can see it poking out if you wanted to take a look.
Yeah, I wish I had
Approximately
pictures. I was told to get the arborist, but if I had pictures, I would have certainly done that for you too, if that was requested by Aaron, but much information's better.
Yeah, I went out there, it's a very healthy tree, there's no question about it. It's at a certain point, obviously with all those pines, it's gonna start to shed its branches up above, and it could cause some issues for the power lines, for the house below, and also for the well. There's, credit to you, there's plenty of canopy in front of the house shading the lake, and I don't know that this house is providing any benefit to the lake necessarily. I don't, my only concern or comment, if the commission wanted to move forward with allowing this, is there something other than mountain laurel that we can replace there that would provide a little bit more habitat? But like I said, a lot of the places on the lake, there's no canopy in the front. It doesn't seem like you've done any vista trimming or pruning, so it protects the lake there. So if we were going to make an accommodation, I would think that this would be a property that would be worth it. It's behind the house, not in front of it, next to the edge of the water. And there's a big tree. What is that, an oak or?
Yeah, there's an oak, I think there's two there. There's
Yeah, it's kind of
towards
a
the lakeside.
split that's right in front of it, that's creating shade.
Oh, right.
Right, so, I don't like the idea of pulling it out, but I can see why it's being requested. My only request would be to give some, if we would grant it, to give some thought to something other than mountain laurel, because I just don't know that mountain laurel.
So you'd like to see another significant tree, maybe something that doesn't get it high enough to hit the power lines, but will be a nice habitat?
Yeah, and I don't know that there's room right there, because there's another tree in there. It's a tight spot. But just something, mountain laurel to me is, yes, it's native, but it doesn't provide much in the way of habitat.
I don't even know what mountain laurel is. I'm sorry. He suggested
Sure.
it, so we can always, again, I could
And
Google it, I guess, to take a
I
look.
honestly, in situations like that, generally defer to the agent to work with the applicant if we were to approve this, to come up with the appropriate offsetting accommodation. But that would, being on site, it is healthy. I wouldn't ordinarily say, yeah, let's go ahead and do it, but there are some mitigating circumstances that I think we could work with them on this.
I'm not familiar with the property, sorry, I wasn't able to go to the site visit. Is there any other place within the property where other tree could be planted instead? So if it's not possible in the same location in other part of the property?
Pretty small.
It's a small lot.
Okay, so
that whole area is, but I think that there's something that we could find that would be substantial. Like an arborvitae is gonna grow nice, but I wouldn't put it in that area, because then that's kind of where you're backing out of your driveway, and the way that those set up, you're gonna have a blind spot. So,
especially with a small property,
Right.
I was just asking because
But
sometimes
there
there are
are-
these bigger
there-
properties where you could potentially put another tree.
and I didn't look on the other side, I didn't look on the water's edge, but we can walk the property and try and find a more suitable list, and we can kind of do a run through on the native plant list and find something that's gonna be sturdy, provide habitat, something that's gonna be easy maintenance for that site, that won't interfere with the house and the power lines, but still provides even a better resource than what the pine was,
Yeah.
Right.
Easy maintenance would be nice.
and that won't interfere with the well. Do you have septic as well?
No, it's city sewer,
Okay.
yeah, or town sewer,
little bit better.
which is a home run in that
One less
area.
obstacle.
Yes.
So those
You don't have town water?
I'm sorry?
You do not have
No,
town
it's
water?
at the well, that's why I'm here, because the well's within 10 to 12 feet of the
Is
tree.
it a dug well or is it an artesian well?
It's an artesian, from what I made to understand, yeah.
I never heard of a pine tree root puncturing an artesian well.
Again,
Who gave you that one?
This is the arborist gave me that,
That's the reason?
one of the reasons, in the.
Gave you the laurel?
I'm sorry?
And he gave you the Laurel too as a replacement?
Yes, he did. Yeah, I don't know, did you get a, from, Symmetry? I mean, I
What do you want
can,
to do? I didn't see it, and I haven't heard anything that would let me vote for it.
Yeah, I mean, like, listen, I just wanted to kind of illustrate the picture. I'm not in love with the idea, but I could get myself there because this is a situation where we know the white pines, when they start to decline, they start to shed branches, they create a safety hazard. Once that it dies on its own, we're not going to have the ability to really dictate terms of what we would want to go in there. And I don't know that it's creating a situation where there's, and please correct me if I'm wrong in what I'm seeing, that it's creating any specific shading or cooling or canopy for the lake that we would be harming the lake by removing it. So,
I agree with that statement. I don't see that it's providing a significant resource. And it's, it's healthy now, but we're seeing how the white pines are being affected. And I think that if the homeowner is willing to replace it with something that's going to provide a more substantial resource to the area, this is an opportunity to take that position versus 5 years from now when it's a downed tree and now we don't have a replacement, but now we can put something that's going to be even a better resource than a pine.
All right. Do we want to vote?
I'd like to make a motion with regards to the tree removal at 21, what is it, Long Avenue? That we allow for the removal with the stipulation that the applicant will work with our agent to find a suitable replacement. And no removal activities will happen until that's agreed upon between the agent and the applicant.
I second that.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Roy Bishop in favor.
Ed Goodwin won't vote. I didn't see it. Yeah. I'm abstaining.
Abstaining?
Yeah.
Sandra Mann in favor.
Okay.
All
So,
right.
once we get that issued, we'll work with you to find the replacement and all.
yeah, like I say, I'll call you, Aaron, and we can figure out what we need to do there. Obviously, I'm not going to do anything until you decide what we need to plant.
Thank you, I appreciate
Okay,
that.
thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Have a great night.
Thank you for coming to us.
To the chair, I request that we move down to item 18 as we have people in the room, and
Or 18? 16, you mean?
18. I would
All
like
right.
to move down to item 18, 68 Paradise, if we can.
All right. 68 Paradise Lane,
So I just want to.
changes.
I know this is something that has
Or
been in the
we-
works for a while.
I mean, just out of respect, 16 is in the room. Right?
Oh, okay.
Sorry. I don't mean to, but 16 is in the room, so.
We'll do 16 and then 18. My apologies.
No, it's fine.
So, some of you know me, some of you don't.
I don't.
George
Thank you.
Yancedes. I own the property over at 392 Main Street. So we had some trees cut back there a while ago. We're supposed to replace them. There's the overgrowth coming back, as you can see it, it's coming back. And me and Glenn, we're gonna be planting very soon. I just had a family hardship for the past 2 months, so I'm just asking for a little extension. I was gonna do it last summer, but it got postponed, and then they gave me till, I think, June, or no, April. And I hit the hardship right then, but I have full intent of doing what we have to do. It's just, I had a family hardship right now, and hopefully the next meeting it should be all done. I spoke with Glenn, and
Ben said it's still okay to plant now?
yeah, we can plant
He's
now.
looking at?
All right.
It's shrubs and,
I have no
it's
problem
shrubs
with
and apple trees, so.
Yeah.
So what do we
Action.
want to extend till the end of August?
That'd be fantastic. End of August.
That seem
The
guaranteed.
August 22nd meeting that everything has to be planted?
Perfect.
And if we get it sooner, I could just call, or you guys can come down and check it out, or you don't want to just wait till August anyways, regardless.
As soon as you get it done, give us a call or have
Take
Glenn
pictures
call.
and-
We will.
Okay.
I don't think we don't need to vote. on
We
that,
just
do
have a motion, just for the record.
Yeah,
I would
make a
appreciate
motion
it.
to extend the deadline for completion for 45 Burgess School Road until the August 22nd meeting.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
A second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Bishop in favor?
Ed Gooder in favor.
Sandra, in favor.
All right, now we want to go to 18, is that what you? 68 Paradise Lane?
Sorry, sir.
Change.
Did-
So I'll just start off a little. I know that this is a project that you, or most of you all, have worked on throughout just the last several months. Site inspection was done, and there were some recommendations that were made that needed to come back before the board. I had requested a site visit since I was unfamiliar with the project, and I wanted to be able to provide my own input. One of the recommendations that had been made previously was that the drains that are coming out on the side of the property over on here, and where's the other one?
Yep, right there.
Right here, that they be directed out to the side of the property line instead of going straight off the wall, which I did agree with, because having them pointing in that direction with the amount of water that they're dispersing, it's just gonna help, it's gonna deteriorate that wall very quickly, all that backwater. So I did agree with the recommendation of putting them to the side, but I did suggest that they be slightly raised and having some gravel underneath. One, so they're easier to maintain. Two, they're easier to inspect. I had recommended some crushed stone behind the stairs on the water as well, because there's not much back there, and I would prefer not to have sinkholes. We looked at the restoration plan with all the plantings, which I agree with, and I believe that, considering the site, that all of these recommendations will be substantial and survive. The only concern that I had is in this area here, there's a cluster of daylilies. Previously, the commission had told them to leave the daylilies. Looking at the restoration that was provided, I believe that the lilies are going to provide some competition, and it's going to be more challenging for that restoration to be as successful as it could be. So I believe that the lilies should go, and in place you have all this additional vegetation. Another thing that we had looked at was the stones going on the side and over here, and adding some stones in this area, because you have this current house, the elevation on the property has been raised to build the house. Elevation's been raised on the neighboring property as well, so now you have two high houses and a fast channel of runoff, so that'll slow it down and slow down any debris. Two trees that need to be removed.
Yep, the oak is right where your
Yep,
pointer
that-
is. And then,
Yep, an oak on the corner, and then an ash up here, which the ash is pretty much in the house at this point. But the grade is right on the edge, so over time, those roots are gonna get compressed. Neither of them are super mature trees. I'd say the oak is about maybe like 4 or 5,
it's a 4 or 5 inch caliper tree, it's less than 10 years old.
and the ash is fairly young as well. So my recommendation was 1 replacement for the oak and 2 for the ash. And then what was the other thing changing? The road up here that you'll be repaving is going to be at a slight angle, pitching it this way towards the swale on this end, which will help keep the flow of water going down the channel and through, which will help filter it. So,
We also had some tree removals closer to that replication area, the southern replication area there. Those were damaged, looks like they were hit by a plow probably 5-10 years ago. There are pictures
They're in
of
rough
those.
shape.
You know, we can look at the pictures if you'd want to. Which would be L4.
oh, let's take time. L4.
Can I explain these pictures? Okay. So for the record, my name is Joe Cohen. I'm a landscape architect here in Sturbridge. I've been working with Jeff on this for a little bit now. When I was out at the site, probably 3 weeks ago, we were looking at some of the existing vegetation, some of the issues with these trees in the upper left-hand corner, and what we could do to fix that. So as part of the replication plan, let me back up. So the trees in the upper left-hand corner are existing red oak, and then there's two birch in there. They have significant damage. There's a lot of, thank you. So upper left there, you can see the trunk has split. There's a lot of rot in between those three leaders coming out. Whereas those trees are between 4 and 6 inch caliper, and they have that significant damage that looks like it's been festering for the last 5, maybe 10 years. These trees won't survive. That picture to the right, you can see that tree's leaning, at least a 45-degree angle, probably more. It has some significant damage, as well as that birch next to it is scarred, and the heartwood is all rotted on the inside there. Those trees are also in very close proximity to the overhead wires. So my concern here is if they were to survive, which I don't think they will, that they would grow into the wires and, National Grid would come and flat top them. So as part of that replication, while we're in there doing work, I think that's a good time to address this issue and replace these damaged trees here in the front. They're essentially, saplings. The largest one there is, I had a 6-inch caliper, which, puts it between 10, maybe 12 years old. So they're not, there's no major benefit to those trees as far as habitat or, anything like that is concerned. So I think this is probably the appropriate time to address this. And then, okay, so that's just another view in proximity to the dry well.
Those are in the wetland, right?
So those are right outside of the replication area. So we,
against the road.
yeah, so they're kind of right up on the edge of the road, which is, if I had to bet, I think it, at some point was hit by a plow or something like that, but
Was that identified as BVW initially?
it was not. No, it was identified as upland. So there was a little triangle of upland restoration, and then the BVW restoration is below that.
Go down and look up.
That tree right there is the oak in question. My issue with this tree is essentially that when the house was shifted, per the request of the Conservation Commission here, the grading was also shifted with the house. I believe the roots are buried. It will suffocate the tree. That tree will be dead in 5 years.
And these are all blueberries right here, correct?
Those are the blueberries, yep. Nice stand of blueberry. Those will survive, those will be fine. The oak tree, that's not gonna make it.
I really want to keep the blueberries because they are very.
Those are the ash saplings on the north west side. They're kind of, as you can see, into the house there. I think essentially what happened here was somebody flush cut a stump, and then, from a cospis cut, you have the little sucker growth that comes out of that. Those trees structurally are, deficient. Those trees won't get much bigger. They're going to shear off. And I think, this is an appropriate time to address those as well, as in, remove them.
That's the base of the
Yeah, so
ash.
that's the base of those ash. I dug around a little bit there. There is, in fact, a larger stump. So those are just all sucker growth off of the original stump. And again, you know, you're talking, some of those were 2-inch calipers. The largest one is about 4.5-inch calipers I measured. So, you know, they're, again, less than 10 years old.
Anywhere else you want me to go that you would like to present?
Yeah, if, you know, if we could go back to L1, is the planting plan that I had suggested here as far as,
Want to start at the top?
yeah, so, you know, appropriate plants for this area, essentially wetland replication plants. We try to keep as many shrubs as possible, some perennials.
Any trees?
Yes, yep.
What?
So we had hornbeam for there, amelanchier, so it's shadblow serviceberry. And then we had redbud in there as well. So three good trees.
What height do they grow to?
Excuse me?
What height do they grow to?
So they'll be about 30, maybe 40 feet maximum height there. The amelanchier, which the one on the right side of that picture, that's probably about 20, 25 feet maximum. The hornbeam can get bigger in those conditions. It should probably approach 30, maybe 40 feet. What I like about the hornbeam is it's particularly resistant to a lot of diseases and insect issues that, you know, we've seen in that area. So I think, you know, for those reasons, it makes a lot more sense to replace with those trees versus, you know, your standard red maples, so on and so forth there.
All right. Any comments, Eric?
Look down in the sun too.
I mean, I guess, Lauren, are you satisfied with those replacements and the placement of them, given the entire composition of the site, or would you like to see more?
It's, excuse me, I'll wait for you to answer.
I reviewed the plan, I reviewed the plans, specifically the table that was provided down at the bottom. And considering what the new layout of the site is going to be, I think that these plants are going to be easy to, they won't be as challenged to survive in this area. I think that this side of the property is going to be getting more wet than it was previously. And I think that all that's being provided here has a good sturdy root system that's not going to try and escape like we saw in the pictures that we saw on here. Where the roots are trying to run away, essentially. Mm-hmm. You're going to have more of that survival with what's being proposed. As long as the homeowner, present and future homeowners are maintaining the property, that they're ensuring survival, I think that we would want to take a look at this, and I'll have to take a double look at the order of conditions as it was written for what you were recommending for survival of the plants, but I'm going to assume that there's going to be an extension on this order at some point just to ensure the survival of the replication plants. But I think that it's a better move than what I usually see. That's just a lot of high bush blueberry and mountain laurel and red maple that usually tend to be the go-tos.
Right. I guess my issue with this, and we knew
all
this
the
was a
trees are
challenging
going
site,
away.
right? The challenge I'm having with this is, I felt like we worked through this in good faith. I would have hoped that the contractor would have taken more care with those trees, given the challenging nature of the site that are up against into the grade. Because part of this is Part of this is happening because it sounds like we had some root damage that happened through lack of care from the contractor. So, and I'm not assigning blame to you, I know you didn't get in there.
Let's not have a conversation between you two. If you want to come up to the mic.
So anyway, that's the challenge I'm having with kind of, normally we ask for a 2-to-1 replacement, so I'd like to see, it looks like we're proposing 3 versus the 4, so I'd like to see if we could get to that 2-to-1 and add one more growth to that, but, and I would like to see, regardless of what's in the order of conditions, when it comes to these additional replacements that would be outside of the order of conditions, that we have at least that 2-year growing cycle to maintain and inspect for viability, just to make sure that they.
So we're replacing with 4 trees.
Oh, it is 4?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
2
I thought I heard 3. Okay.
3 species, but 4 trees overall.
Okay, so we're taking out the 2 that were damaged on the proximity of the construction area.
Yep.
And we're replacing with 4. Okay, that makes me, I heard 3, I'm sorry, my
Your
mistake.
challenge also lies because you spent a lot of time on the project during the approval process, and the trees that you assigned to remain were there with intention of remaining, and now it's kind of.
Right.
Most of the trees are going away at this point, but I think that the landscape that's being provides adequate resource for the wetland, adequate privacy barrier between the neighbors, and when I was looking at this project, I was looking at it as far as the long term.
Sure.
As far as, not just what's going to look nice for a couple of years, but what's going to be easy to maintain, what's not going to mess with the drains that are being installed, what's not going to interfere with the stormwater components that are part of the structure itself. So that's how I'm reviewing it.
Yeah, and I appreciate that.
And I understand the process of, and the hurdles that come down the road.
That's all I had to say, Ed.
Eric? Roy, sorry.
We're always
Confused you two.
confused, yeah.
He's in the wrong
Right,
seat.
that's-
Two good-looking guys, how can
Yeah. Should we have another look at this after the construction's done and the grading's done, and then look at where the new trees are gonna go?
Well, the grading's pretty much done at this point, right?
Yeah, the
And,
grading is,
the house is up and framed. I think all the,
The drainage off the roof and all of that is, you're comfortable with that?
I like it better going out to the side of the property lines than how it was initially approved, because even now, the way that, so this drain right now is running down this way, and then it just daylights up here. And I've been on site twice, and it's flowing constantly. It's wet. This property is at the bottom of a hill, so it's gonna stay wet. And I would rather have more filtration for all that runoff than it taking out grass and eventually taking out that retaining wall and the sinkholes that are gonna come with it. Which is why I recommended having the pipes elevated a little and putting some gravel underneath, because that's gonna be easier to make sure it's not getting clogged. If you put them right at the ground level, over time, naturally, over, the next 5 or 10 years, that's slowly gonna start to build up. Then it's up to the property owner to have to dig that out all the time. And then it's just gonna get backed up, and then it's gonna fail, and that's a whole other issue. But we could do an inspection, request an inspection, once all the plantings have been done. Are you gonna try and?
we're going to plant in the fall.
Okay.
Yep.
So we could do an inspection in the fall, and then, I think a 2-year growing season is appropriate to ensure everything's right. And if throughout the inspections, we find that either something isn't growing, or if it does not look adequate, we could leave that open to, if the applicant is willing to revisit if there's something that needs to be addressed, if a certain plant isn't doing the function that it was supposed to do.
Laura, anything?
No, I cannot vote on this one, but when we went and visited the site, I agree with what you were saying, like that area in the front was lake, it was completely flooded, so the amount of trees, I think, doubling the amount of trees that are being taken out and like seeing like the condition of the trees are right now, I think I'm fine with that option as well.
So we're proposing the 4 trees as well as 14 shrubs that, will be between 5 and 6 feet high. So, I mean, it's a substantial amount of plants going in there.
So I think in addition to any routine site visits that I might do throughout the duration, that we just anticipate on, once you do the plantings in the fall, if you approve, we'll do a visit with the whole group afterwards. Take a look at it.
Yeah, I'm unprepared, I need to take another look at it.
Like the front of the property, is that soil going to be stabilized with grass or what?
In front of the house?
Actually the back, it will be the back of the house, like near the concrete, that area.
All this?
Closer to the lake, yeah.
So that's currently been seeded. And it has erosion fabric over the top of it. So it's in very decent shape right now.
So it sounds like everyone wants to do one more site visit before approving this? Or are you satisfied with this?
I think we need a site visit.
Yeah, after the trees are planted?
Before authorizing this?
You wanna see it again before
You
our
want to
next
hold this
meeting.
plan in your hand and you want to stand on the site
Take a look
and
at it.
identify where everything's going to
I want
go?
to look at, I'm unprepared, so I didn't go through it in the detail that I should have. I was on vacation until.
You came back for us, Ed? Thank you.
I did.
Yeah, I don't have a problem getting a second look at it. I mean, I don't know that it's gonna make a big difference to me, but if you two would like to take a look at it again, I'm okay with going back out there.
Accept a continuation?
I don't know that we need
Well, it's not a hearing,
one.
so it's not,
What?
it's not a hearing, so you don't really need to,
Don't need to? All right.
really, you would, if you're choosing to not authorize the change at this time, pending a site visit for whoever wants to go, and then we put this back on the agenda for July 11th.
Yep.
I
Sounds
don't
good.
know that there's a clock ticking here, so I think it's.
Well,
perfectly-
getting the
They
okay
wanna
for
get
them
going.
to do it, because for the replanting, he'd have to do that in the fall, but for I'm sure they want to do the drains, I think
I'd
that
like to
needs to
fix
get
the
off there
drains
sooner.
because there's nothing.
I think the drains
it's
would be
caused a
something.
huge bog at
Yeah,
it's huge.
so I would
I'd like you to.
stipulate that that's probably a minor change, it's just directionality, and we probably can isolate the two things and vote to allow for the minor change of the directionality of the drains and leave.
That hasn't been done yet? I thought that was done.
Has not been done
No,
yet.
they needed approval.
and
That
then
was your
leave-
recommendation,
so
but.
that probably makes sense.
Yeah.
It's the only thing not the only thing, but the main bone of contention is the plantings, so that being said, I'd like to make a
Well, the
motion.
cutting for the planting.
But
Yeah, we had removal as, the first
One being
major
coming
step.
down
Had
and
an
one's going
agreement
up is.
when we went through there where the wetland was, and they weren't gonna do anything.
No, I understand that, but this directionality change has nothing to do with clearing anything else, right? So we could give the approval to change the direction so they can work on that, that no additional, those trees would not come out until we.
I would say one thing, we really need to take out the tree,
The ash tree.
the ash tree. It is, so they're starting the second floor, and it is actually,
It's nearly in the house.
it's,
I
if
see
you
that,
show
like,
the
the
picture, we're gonna have to like trim it at the very least, because you can't build on the second floor. And if you remember, you asked me to move it towards the north, in order to get away from the really significant wetland on the south. So that right there is right there, you can see, we haven't started the second floor, it's hanging into the second floor. So we need, and they're starting the second floor, and they'll probably be done with it within a week. So they'll either have to, like, severely, like, trim it back while they're building.
I have no problem with it being trimmed back. Not severely, but trimmed back so you can get in there.
So they can build the house. Okay.
Well, we give ourselves some time.
I feel like so much of the
Yeah.
growth and of the tree is in that area, though, that it's, if you trim it back, it's gonna be a snag with a couple branches.
I mean, a
going
couple
that
of
way.
a couple of those small ones it's like all it is, so you trim it back, those two small ones, if you look right there, the two small ones, those right there, I mean, if you trim it back,
There won't be anything left.
there's nothing left.
Yeah, I think it's
I
like.
might just take those two
Yeah.
off, and then if you could look at everything else that we've done,
If you trim it, you're essentially just gonna
I mean,
have the trunk.
It's just delaying the inevitable, yeah.
I'm fine with trimming it, whatever you want to do, but it'd be easier.
Oh, when's our site visit?
We haven't determined yet.
What?
We haven't determined yet.
Well, for purposes of them moving forward with a second story, I don't know that once we get on the site, that if we allow for the trimming, if it comes out, if we approve to have it come out later, there's gonna be other things that need to come out. It's not gonna cause any material harm to you, right? So you can continue with the work. So I would think the best path forward is to allow for the trimming of that, so the second floor can go in, and allow for the directionality of the drains to change. No other removal of vegetation until we have a chance to get on site, visualize what's happened, allow the questions that you have, Ed, that need to be asked, and then we can pick that back up on the 11th. Does that seem like a reasonable course of action to you, Lauren? And Ed?
Yeah, that's as far as I'm willing to go.
Yeah.
So just to clarify, trim the ash, change the direction of the pipes. The rest,
Is
you'll
tabled,
decide on the 11th.
right, after the site visit.
Okay, and as you are doing your site visit, if I'm not there, just a couple things. The contractor didn't really make any mistakes. It's on the north side, we've only got about this much. He did as little as he could possibly do. Becky made us move the silt fence back into like the wetland, which actually is what caused the fill. So it wasn't really the contractor, it was the placement of the house that was moved towards the north, away from, the south wetland is the beautiful flowing stream wetland, and we moved it more towards the Reardon's house, and that's what caused this pushing up against the trees. So just, like when you look.
It'll be best to not relitigate this.
Well, no, I'm not.
How about we just take the win?
I'm just trying to ask you.
I get it.
The second thing I'd ask you to look at is that Joe was our landscaper on our house, and if you look at this, the house next door, 66 Mount Dan, it's extremely lush with very strong, verdant vegetation in every aspect that has grown immensely. So it's it's much more strongly vegetated than it ever was, like before we started. And Joe was the responsible for that. So when you're there, if you could just look over and see, that house, he's very good at what he does, and he's very expensive. And we probably put in
You
too
cut
much.
that for your next
We probably put in too much at 66. My wife complains because it's so thick, but I just take that into account when you're looking. Thank you.
So,
leave it at that.
Do we need, to? I think probably we need to do this through a motion for a minor change. Is that accurate?
I always request motions, but I would request that the motion be to allow the minor change to redirect the 2 drainage pipes and to trim back the ash tree for this time, at this
So
time.
that they can build.
So that they can finish the
the
construction of the second floor.
Okay, that sounds good. I'm just going to say so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Roy Bishop in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor?
I cannot vote on this.
Okay. All right.
Thank you very much.
Have a nice evening, folks.
We're gonna, yeah, we're gonna,
You're going to do 15?
it's gonna be 4th of July week.
Now, I think
most likely.
15 we already did
Figure out the
as
day
part of
that it's
7,
gonna be.
right? Is that the one?
But I'll let you know, and if you
Right,
can meet us there.
Yeah, I'd like to be there.
Okay.
Because that's the enforcement order, and we released that first before we did the certificate of compliance, so 15's done.
17?
17. Yep.
Yeah, we can't really do anything with the last Green Valley. You haven't got anything there, right?
There's just not a, I was never provided a date. They submitted a, thank you.
Thank
A
you.
land use permit for Walktober, which I'm assuming is in October.
It's a good guess.
It's, yeah, I'm just gonna guess there, but I don't have a specific date on them.
So we'll wait, right?
Yeah, it's,
Not a big deal anyway.
yeah.
We have plenty
Meant
of
to
time
follow
between
up
now
with Erin
and
ask one more
October.
time, but-
Nothing on CPA. We haven't met since the town meeting.
Everything passed at town meeting.
I know.
That's the update.
We spend money.
127 people voting on $42 million. Go to town meeting, folks. And I'm guessing everybody watching this was at town meeting.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
That's the other problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need a way to modernize and get more people there, but that's,
Yeah, right. I like it. So, where do we go?
I think.
Anything else we need to do?
Agent
Nothing
report.
under old business, nothing under correspondence.
Next meeting, July 11th?
I've got items for 19.
Yeah.
So, under agent update. First off, we have an empty seat today, so I didn't get to work with Ted, but I've met him a few times since I've worked here, so he's popped in a couple times. But we appreciate his participation and dedication as community as being part of this commission, and I think that says a lot for your community. I know that this takes a lot of time. I know it takes a lot of your personal time to review all these, and it's all appreciated. So thank you to Ted for his service here. I'm not sure exactly how long he was on. Was it 3 years, 4 years?
No,
Not even?
less than that, yeah.
Well, thank you for your
Once-
service.
He would have been on if he got signed up again, it would have been 3 years.
Okay. And on the selectmen agenda for July 1st, we should be having Flora on there to be appointed to a full-time member. So that will put you back at 5 full-time members. And if you have any friends that are looking to get involved in the community and want to be an alternate,
That was a question I actually had. I'm up next year,
okay?
but we don't, do you have the commission dates?
I can
Like,
get them from the clerk.
Yeah, because we've.
Or
al-
I'm sure Aaron has them, but I
Was
can get
Ted
them
the
for
only
everyone.
one up for this year? or
I
was
was,
somebody-
I'm up.
Oh, you're up. So it's Flora and Ed, all
And
right.
I'm assuming Ed's not leaving.
Well, you never know. He may upset Jamie, and he is the chair, so, you know.
Yeah, wow.
The chair
Too much
the chair
change
may
going
not
on
accept
for
the
him.
Hey,
nomination.
we're going to a wedding this weekend, and Jamie better not upset Daddy.
Don't do that. Other items, we'll do some good before we go on. I'm currently working on a table for bond amounts. I know that's something that's fairly new, doing the security bonds with orders of conditions. So, you know, I know there's been a little bit of question on proper amounts. So I've been going through typical projects single-family homes, septic replacement, retaining walls, things like that, and trying to come up with an appropriate number for what we would request for the bond. Obviously, it's up to you, but it would serve more as a guidance document. For bigger projects, it'd be, something if you're looking at more of like an à la carte menu. But it will give us a little bit more to stand on with everything. The estimates that I'm looking at are more so of what is the cost going to be to us to have to remediate it if they abandon the project or if something bad happens. If they walk away, how much is it going to cost us to restabilize the site or whatever it is? So I anticipate on presenting that at the next meeting. Let's see. We went over Paradise Lane, 88 South Shore Drive. Who was around for all of this? Okay. So you're familiar, there seems to be some confusion as to what the commission believes they approved and what the homeowner applicant believes they were approved for. And this required approval from conservation. This required a variance from the ZBA. Both of those applications had said that it was a remodel of an existing home with an addition. There were some materials that were provided to you that depict some stairs going down to a basement. However, that wasn't part of the site plan because the site plan just shows the footprint. There was an application for the well, which is scheduled to be decommissioned on the 26th. Board of Health will be present for that, but no other actions being taken at this time because when Aaron and I went out for the site visit, pre-construction, it turned out that the builder, who was not part of this process when it was being presented, needs to replace the foundation because the foundation will not support the second story that is going on top of the existing home, which building code, that makes sense, and the walls aren't salvageable. So essentially, what was not supposed to be a raise and rebuild is pretty close to a raise and rebuild at this point. So we did not authorize for the work to move forward until we kind of got to the bottom of this between our building and all of the departments and all the different understandings. The builder needs to present a new plan to you all. This is the request that we're making. Is that whether it was miscommunication or misunderstanding, what we have before you now is a builder that cannot build the plan that he was provided. So they need to come up with some different options as to how they're going to reconstruct this old camp home that is about 10 feet into the 50-foot buffer, with the addition, with the garage on top, with the garage and the new septic and the new well. I am requesting that they prepare materials and they do a formal amendment to submit for the July 11th meeting, and that the builder present to you what it is that he has to do to make this project happen before moving forward. So we can anticipate this discussion. They are aware that it's more or less reopening the jar, but
So it will be a new project.
Is there a way to, I'm sorry.
No, the question is it going to be a new project or is it a modification of the old project? Like just legacy because it was
modification of the
before me?
existing project because they're not proposing to change the footprint from what you approved. What essentially is changing, and again, this is the problem with the site plan. The site plan shows the footprint. The site plan does not show the depth. And there's plans that are even on the website that show stairs going into a basement, but it just was not clearly communicated that there is a basement. There's a very small basement now in the existing house, but the house is currently on cinder blocks. And I mean, I know from my experience that cinder blocks are not going to support a second story, so they need to figure out a new plan. And I did tell them that most likely they're going to be presented with the question that if you have to relay the foundation, why can't you move it out of the 50-foot buffer? They are very limited with this site because you have the lake, you've got a vernal pool across the street, you've got riverfront on the other side. They can't move it so much because they already had to get a variance through ZBA. They can't move it too much because of where the septic is going. They can't move it too much because of where the well is moving. So somewhere there has to be some type of compromise, and I don't know what that's going to be. I presented some, what I think could be different options, but they have to make the argument to you.
The footprint is the same as what it
The
was.
footprint is the same, it's just the depth that is different.
The footprint is larger than.
What was approved is
It's
a
an
larger
expanded
footprint than what's there
So
now.
therefore, they don't have the right to be doing what they're doing.
Right.
Period.
They were approved for a larger footprint than
Further
what's
into
there
the-
now,
further
but
toward
for
the
what
lake.
they are looking to do,
Yes, it's a different thing, yeah.
as far as what was approved, the footprint isn't changing. It's just, the commission was led to believe that the whole project was going to be on the existing cinder block and that the addition in the garage was going to be on a slab. And now the garage is still proposed to be on a slab, but the existing home and the addition, the existing home's getting a new foundation with a full basement and
Plus,
the
they're gonna
other.
have a full
It will
cellar.
require
Right,
extensive
yeah.
excavation.
But-
Clearly said no.
I mean, that, I don't.
They're not
I don't-
proposing any more
I
tree
don't,
removal or
I don't
anything,
think
but-
that there's much question after going back and watching the video, but that's me.
You did watch it?
Yeah. I disagree that maybe they miscommunicated amongst each other.
I have
or
a
maybe
couple
the-
feelings about
the
it, but
contractor decided to take some
Yeah.
leaps and didn't ask the confirming questions.
in a
But
perfect world,
Going back and
the
finding.
builder should always be the one that presents it
Right.
because they know how they actually have to do it, where the engineer just kind of draws it. And I understand that with some projects, they don't have all those people lined up when they're going through their permitting process, so it's, I wish that that was the case, it's not. So, we're gonna try and go at this at a civil approach and see what happens. But,
In terms
as
of
soon as-
logistics, sorry, because it's an older project and then coming in, like, with that, I would be able to.
You would be able to, because we're not, it's gonna be a new hearing.
So we would get a new DEP.
We're getting a complete new hearing.
A new
No,
DEP number?
they're re-advertising, so it's, a butter notification and re-advertisement to amend the order of conditions.
Okay, so there's not a new DEP.
Not a new DEP number, no.
So she can't vote on it.
You can if it's an amendment on an existing order. It would be on the closing of the initial that she couldn't vote on.
Should we make them do another DEP number?
If they were changing the footprint this way, I would say yes, but they're not. And,
It's
Do you
depth.
know what they're doing?
what's that?
Do you know what they're gonna bring us?
Not yet.
Well, tell them
Because Lenny did their
we need a new
plans.
DEP number.
Lenny did their
and-
plans, so they gotta figure that out.
Yeah.
But, I mean, really, the question is, and my recommendation is going forward with any remodeling projects is checking the vertical. Are you going down anymore? Are you going up anymore? Are you changing your pitch on your roof? And I know it was asked at that hearing.
Yeah, I mean, they were going on the existing foundation and putting in a slab for the
Right.
garage. Like, there was no question about that. So
Right.
I get what you're saying.
Yes.
However, that was never in question in my
Right.
mind.
This is gonna come up.
We also recommended getting a structural engineer to look at the existing foundation and provide a statement that says that this isn't going to support it. Not that it matters that much, because the question that I also presented is, or not necessarily the question, the opinion I also presented is that there's, what you need to survive and what you want, is that you don't necessarily need this big house.
Yeah.
So providing the argument that you have to have, footprint, or if we can find some compromise of pulling back the house somewhere, cutting some square footage somewhere. So I think that, either they're taking the existing family house and they're putting this nice brand new addition on it. They're not going to be able to touch the cabin because they can't redo the siding because of the new building code that's made building wonderful for everyone. They have to redo all that. The only thing essentially that's salvageable is the floor.
How does it, is it just that you can't build on cement block now? What do you,
It's
what do you
just,
say?
it
What's
won't
the new
support a
building
second
code?
story.
What?
It won't support a second story.
That's what the building code says.
Well, it's just the,
That's the new rule.
well, it's depending on what's there before. They have to get a structural engineer to state to the condition, but the cinder block foundation, from what they say, has been there since the 70s. So,
Yeah, well, you could do it tomorrow,
right.
but what you're
I've seen
saying.
second stories go on Technopost. So I don't know if the existing house necessarily needs a new foundation. There is, or a new, a full basement. There is a part of the existing house that does have a walk-in basement. I don't know, whoever went to the house, there is a hatch where they had the furnace and you can actually walk into it, but it's probably.
But it wasn't a full basement. I mean, you had the.
16
Like, I
square
couldn't
feet.
get in there.
Yeah, 16 square feet with 4-foot ceilings. It's small.
Yeah. It was just
All right,
enough
so
to
we're
be
gonna have to
built.
deal with it.
So. But the reality is, none of this, I mean, it's our issue because now we have to deal with it, but this is, you know, the applicant's issue with their engineer and with their builder. They need to figure out what they need, and they need to bring it to us, and it has to conform with what our needs are.
Right.
Like, I mean, I get that we want to be, we want to work with applicants, but we already went through this and approved it as in an area that we felt comfortable with. And this is not a small change, right? This is a pretty significant change. I kind of agree with Roy that there might need to be a new application, a new NOI, because we're talking about a completely different plan. This is not anywhere near the same thing, and I'm guessing the DEP would probably have some different comments with a dug basement, a dug full basement, than just going on an existing platform. And I'm not trying to be difficult. I know certain people think I'm difficult, but I'm not trying to be difficult, but, you know, the variables are nowhere near the same of what is being proposed versus what was approved.
Right, yeah.
If they were
One-
close, if it was like this, right,
One
we're just
thought
changing the angles?
that I did say is an option to present is the area within the 50-foot. They do a slab. The house stays a single level in that area. And obviously this has to get voted on by everyone. If you're trying to do redo the foundation and bringing it back, that if it gets approved to do the foundation outside of the 50, the second story just wouldn't start until you're out of the 50. But they have to, it's really coming down to that you have to show the need. And there's a difference between a want and a need in this case. And
Why do we get ourselves in this
All right.
situation, Ed?
Yeah, I know.
I blame Floor.
the message I'll relay is, if, based on the discussion, if you think that it just needs a whole new DEP number, we can,
I think that's the cleanest.
I would need a fairly substantial argument to pull me off. I think Roy's right. It's just not the same project, and it's not even
Really like
close.
a
And
different
I think
project.
the DEP themselves needs to weigh in on these changes.
would you like me to just recommend that they go forward with filing? Would you like to speak with the builder on the 11th?
I think you gotta tell them to go forward with the file.
Okay.
That way we can use our whole board cleanly, no problem in court.
Yep.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, that's,
Clean slate.
right, that's a good point, because we may think that she can open the amendment, and then there's some loophole in the law that we didn't even know about,
Got it.
so.
I think
Okay.
that's going to be better, especially since it's deviating so much from what it was approved at the beginning.
Okay, that will be what I bring forward to them. And then the only other thing that I have, and this is no pressure, but based off of your current regulations, as the agent, I do not have the authority to authorize administrative approval or emergency orders. Only Aaron does. So.
Only Aaron does?
Yes. So
Change.
if that's a power that you would like to bless me with at this time,
I would
request a
I'd like to
vote.
make a motion.
Second. Third. Did Becky not have that?
You're an
But you
emergency
did.
girl.
Oh, it's just because you're
But it was with the
new.
person, not with the title.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yes.
if I can get a
Eric
roll
Gaspar in
call.
favor.
Roy Bishop in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
And German in favor.
I appreciate you all, and I have nothing further. Oh, wait, I have one other thing. Site visits, can we schedule them now? I'd be looking at July 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, preferably, so we can get it in before the
I am in
holiday.
Maine as of the afternoon of the 2nd, so I could do the morning of the 2nd. The 1st is my only work day, so it's kind of stacked already,
July
but I
1st,
could
okay.
probably make it work.
Roy, what do you say?
I'll go for the second.
Okay.
I can
That's
do the
good with
second.
me. Yeah,
Okay.
that's good with me.
I will
Morning.
coordinate that morning.
Yeah.
Can we go back to the new DEP number? Do we have them stop work?
The only thing that they have planned right now, and that Board of Health is authorizing, is to decommission the well that's like in the water.
Yeah.
And that is scheduled to be decommissioned on the 26th. And the Board of Health agent will be on site for that, and I'm hoping to go out there that day. We did not give them authorization to do anything else. Board of Health is not going to issue their permit to do the new well or the septic. And depending on whatever change happens here, they might have to go back to the ZBA as well.
Yeah, I think
So-
when you tell them that they have to do a full application again, just tell them, hey, you gotta stop all work. You can't, get us into a position where there's no reclama.
But really, it's build what was approved or
Right.
come back, which with the existing house, the building inspector's not gonna
Right.
approve anything that.
Ugh, that stinks. I feel bad for them. But, I mean, we agreed to what we agreed to, so we gotta figure it out.
So know that I'm not going to be here on July 11th.
Got that.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't even know if they'll be able to have everything together by then anyway, because, like I said, Lenny was their engineer, and they need to figure all that out and get a structural engineer.
Yeah, there were like a lot of things that we were moving today to July 11th. That's why I wanted to,
I
to
have
mention
I
that.
have it noted that you're not gonna be here.
Well, then, we need to make sure that Karsten's gonna be here if Shampoo comes up, because otherwise,
Oh,
or,
yeah.
like, the three of you need to be, I'll be here, but the three of you need to be here of Shampoo. So if we're gonna miss anybody else, we probably should let the applicant at Shampoo know that we won't have a quorum for their public hearing.
Okay, I'll email Karsten tomorrow. I don't know if he told anyone how long he's going to be.
Road.
Is that something that I
I
can
think not, Dan, we're fine, right?
proxy vote or something like that?
I mean,
If I do it, no,
unless there's
Sample?
anything specific within your
be fine.
regulations, you should be allowed to participate remotely. It is more of a challenge, but
yeah, no. I'm going to be
In the middle of the Amazon again?
the leader of the Amazon.
Nice.
And that is without internet connection.
Yes.
so unfortunate.
Yeah.
That
Who's
is,
that?
it's an X-Prize Rainforest competition. We are
Oh,
in the
really?
finals, and it's like 3 days off in the Amazon.
You're just so much cooler than I am.
So-
That's not that that's hard, but
I'll bring
I just figured I'd say it out loud.
pictures and
All right,
all the
can we
support
get
so
a,
we win.
can we get a motion?
Roy, close us out.
I make a motion to close the meeting.
I would
Adjourn.
second that, and
All in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
Good.